The galaxy had waited for this moment for centuries. Earth, the quiet, blue planet, was finally alone. No fleets, no communication, no defense signals to the rest of the universe. It looked like Earth had gone silent. In the war room of the Zeltor Dominion, hundreds of alien generals stood around a glowing map of the solar system. Their leader, Grand Emperor Raction, stared at the blue planet's image. His eyes glowed with greed. "This world," he said slowly, "is undefended. The humans are finished. Prepare the invasion." Around him, alien officers murmured in excitement. The humans had always been seen as strange, weak, emotional, and reckless, but they had survived wars, asteroids, and disasters. Now, it seemed their time had come to an end. Commander Zirin, one of the youngest fleet leaders, felt uneasy. "My Emperor," he said quietly, "it seems too easy. Earth signal stopped just 2 days ago. What if it's a trap?" Raction laughed, a harsh, metallic sound. "Humans? Set a trap for us? They are primitives, still crawling on one planet. They don't have the technology to stop a galactic armada." But still, Zirin couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. He had seen human broadcasts, their strange films, their wars, their endless will to survive. There was something different about them, something no other species had. As the invasion fleet prepared, thousands of black warships left Zeltor space. Their engines glowed violet, cutting across the dark void. The mission was simple: reach Earth, destroy resistance, and claim the planet. Hours turned into days. The fleet moved in silence, cutting through the emptiness of space. The closer they got, the more uneasy Zirin felt. Earth's orbit was quiet, too quiet. No satellites, no ships, no radar. When they entered the solar system, one of the science officers, Karin, noticed something strange. "Commander," she said, her voice trembling, "there's a signal very weak coming from Earth's surface." Zirin frowned. "A distress call?" "No," she said, turning to face him. "It's not a call. It's a message." The crew gathered around the holoscreen. Static filled the bridge, and then, through the interference, a faint human voice spoke. "To whoever is listening, leave this place." The words were calm. Too calm. Karin adjusted the scanners. "The message is repeating, sir, over and over. But it's not just sound." She looked confused. "There's something hidden inside it, a pattern of numbers, almost like a code." Raction appeared on the screen from his command ship. "Play it again," he ordered. The voice repeated. "To whoever is listening, leave this place." Suddenly, every system in the fleet flickered. Lights dimmed. Sensors glitched. Alarms rang across the ships. "EMP attack?" one officer shouted. "No," Karin whispered. "It's not energy. It's information. The message is rewriting our systems." Zirin's eyes widened. "That's impossible. They don't have that kind of tech." But the readings were clear. The human message had somehow entered their data networks. The communication satellites started shutting down. AI cores froze. Even the navigation systems stopped responding for a moment. Then the lights stabilized. Silence returned to the bridge. Everyone stared at the hollow screen in horror. Karin's voice was shaking. "Commander, the message is now showing coordinates." "Coordinates to what?" Zirin asked. She swallowed hard. "To something behind Earth. Near the moon." Raction's voice thundered from the command channel. "Send a scout ship. I want visual confirmation now." Moments later, a small reconnaissance craft left the fleet and approached the moon's orbit. The pilot reported seeing nothing, just darkness. Then, suddenly, his transmission broke into static. A scream, a flash, and then silence. Scout 1 respond. Zirin shouted, but there was no answer. The ship had vanished. Raction's tone turned angry. "Find out what happened." Karin checked the feed. "Commander, the last image from the scout shows a shadow." "A shadow?" Zirin repeated. "Yes," she whispered. "A shadow shaped like a ship, but it wasn't visible on any radar or sensor. It's like it's hiding inside the signal." Zirin felt his blood run cold. He turned toward Earth. The planet looked peaceful, calm, blue, and quiet. But deep down, he knew something on that world was watching them. Raction ignored the warning signs. It's human deception. Prepare the attack. The fleet began to move into formation. Thousands of ships spreading across the planet's orbit. Energy weapons charged. The sky above Earth darkened as the invasion began. But then it happened again. The same message echoed through every communication channel. Louder this time, clearer. To whoever is listening, leave this place. And this time, every alien on the ship heard a second voice whisper right behind it. Quiet, almost human, saying their name. Zirin froze. He turned slowly, feeling the air grow cold. Did anyone else hear that? Karin nodded slowly, fear in her eyes. It spoke to me, she said softly. It knew my name. On the main screen, the blue Earth shimmered slightly. A strange pulse of light ran across its surface, spreading outward into space. The readings went wild, time, gravity, and energy all shifting at once. Zirin's heart pounded. What did the humans do? Karin whispered the only answer she could think of. They didn't do this, something on Earth did it for them. The fleet stopped moving. The weapons powered down. No one dared to breathe, because now, for the first time in galactic history, the invaders were afraid, and Earth had just spoken back. The silence after the message was unbearable. The alien fleet floated motionless above Earth, their engines dim, as if even the machines were too afraid to move. Commander Zirin stood in the middle of the control deck, staring at the frozen communication screen. The human voice still echoed in his mind. Leave this place. It had sounded simple, almost peaceful, yet it had turned an entire galactic armada into silence. Karin, the science officer, was the first to speak. Commander, our systems are stable again, but something strange happened. Zirin turned. What do you mean? She looked nervous. When the message played the second time, it didn't just transmit sound. It changed the structure of our data. The message rewrote the encryption on every ship in the fleet. Zirin frowned. That's not possible. Human technology isn't that advanced. Karin's voice trembled. That's what I thought too, sir. But look at this. She activated the central holoscreen. Streams of glowing symbols appeared, thousands of them, flowing across the display like living light. The symbols weren't alien nor human, nor anything the galaxy had ever seen before. It's like Karin paused, like the message came from something beyond human understanding. Raction's furious voice broke through the comms. Enough of this nonsense. Humans don't have this kind of power. This is psychological warfare. Send another probe. Karin hesitated. With respect, my emperor, the first probe never returned. Then send 10 more. Raction barked. Moments later, 10 small ships broke formation and flew toward Earth's orbit. The fleet waited in silence. Seconds turned into minutes. Then one by one, the signals from the probes disappeared. Zirin's heart sank. They're gone. Raction's voice grew louder. They must be cloaked or destroyed. I will not have my fleet made fools of by a primitive world. Karin whispered. Sir, they didn't explode. Their energy signatures just vanished. It's like they were erased from existence. Every officer on the bridge exchanged uneasy glances. The fear was growing. And then the message changed. The same human voice returned, but this time it spoke new words. You were warned once. Do not return. The sound carried through every speaker in the fleet, even those that were offline. Karin's console started flashing. Commander, the message has embedded itself inside our network again. It's spreading faster this time. Zirin shouted. Shut down all communications. Disconnect from the grid. But it was too late. Every ship in the invasion fleet began receiving the same coordinates. Karin's voice shook. The message is pointing to something hidden near Earth's South Pole. Whatever it is, it's alive. Raction appeared on the main screen again, his red eyes burning. Enough! Humanity is mocking us. If they want war, we'll give them one. Wait, Zirin said quickly. We don't even know what we're fighting. We haven't seen a single human ship. Coward! Raction spat. You forget who you serve. Begin the orbital strike. Zirin had no choice. He gave the order. The fleet's lower decks opened, revealing rows of heavy plasma cannons. Thousands of targeting systems locked onto the Earth's surface. Fire! Purple energy beams cut across the black of space, lighting up the sky like a storm. But before they reached Earth, the beams froze midair. The bridge lights flickered. The plasma trails hung still, like frozen lightning. Time itself seemed to stop. Zirin's voice trembled. What is happening? Karin stared in horror. The readings... Sir, time around the fleet is not moving normally. We're caught in a temporal distortion. All across the fleet, alarms screamed. Ships drifted, unable to move. Every system locked. And then, through the speakers, a whisper. Not the calm voice from before, but something older, deeper. You should not have fired. Karin gasped. That's not the same voice. This one isn't human. Every ship trembled. The stars outside the windows flickered like dying lights. Then, one by one, the frozen plasma beams reversed course, traveling back toward the alien ships that fired them. Shields up, Zirin shouted, but it was useless. The energy slammed into the fleet, shaking ships apart, scattering debris across orbit. Half of the armada vanished in the flash. The survivors floated helplessly, systems failing, hearts pounding in disbelief. Karin clutched her headset. Sir, it's gone. The message signal disappeared. Zirin could barely breathe. How did they do that? They didn't even fire back. Karin's hands were trembling. Commander! This isn't human weaponry. This is something else entirely. Raction's voice came again, but it was weaker now, filled with fear instead of anger. Fall back. Regroup at lunar coordinates. We must understand what we're facing. Zirin nodded slowly, though he knew no one really understood what had just happened. As the damaged fleet drifted toward the moon, the Earth below glowed peacefully, untouched, silent, watching. Karin looked at the blue world through the viewport. Sir, she said softly, I think that message wasn't a warning. It was a test. Zirin frowned. A test? Yes, she whispered. And we just failed. The commander turned his eyes back toward the silent planet. A deep unease filled his chest. He didn't know what Earth was hiding or who had sent that message, but he knew one thing for sure. The humans weren't the prey anymore. They were something far worse. And the galaxy had just awakened it. Days passed since the failed attack, yet the fear inside the alien fleet only grew stronger. Half of the ships had been destroyed by their own weapons. The rest drifted silently above the moon, repairing damage and trying to make sense of what happened. No one spoke of the voice they'd heard, the one that wasn't human. But everyone remembered it. Commander Zirin hadn't slept. The image of Earth's calm blue surface haunted him. We fired first, he said quietly to Karin, who was studying the remaining signal fragments. But they didn't fight back. Why? Karin shook her head. I don't think it was defense, Commander. It was reaction. Something in that message changed our technology, maybe even our reality. She pointed to her screen. Look at this. Every time we received that human message, our systems recorded a second frequency, one that doesn't belong to any known energy type. It's like space itself was speaking. Before Zirin could answer, a sudden alert filled the bridge. Commander! Long-range sensors picking up signals. 30 ships, returning from deep space. Zirin's eyes widened. That's impossible. Those are our missing scouts. The lost fleet, the one that had disappeared when it first approached Earth, was returning. The bridge filled with excitement. Open a channel, Zirin ordered. But when the communication screen activated, no voices came through. Only static. The returning ships drifted silently, without formation, without power. Their engines were cold, their lights off. Karin leaned forward. Sir, their reactors are offline, but their flight paths are perfect. They're moving like they're alive. Zirin felt a chill. Alive? The ships glided slowly past the alien armada. Their hulls were scorched and dark, and on each one, burned deep into the metal, were the same 3 words. We warned you. The bridge went silent. Every officer stared at the screen, frozen in shock. Reaction appeared on the command channel, his face pale with rage. Who did this? How can they write on metal without tools or fire? Karin whispered, "It's not written, my emperor, it's fused into the structure, like the atoms themselves were rearranged." The emperor refused to listen. Enough superstition. Retrieve the ships and study them. Reluctantly, Zirin ordered the recovery. Drone units latched onto the lifeless vessels and pulled them toward the main carrier. As soon as they docked, the lights in the hangar flickered. Karin grabbed her scanner. Energy surged, coming from inside the derelicts. Alarms blared. The metal of the ruined ships began to move, not physically, but like it was breathing. Waves of distortion rippled through their hulls. Then came a sound, soft at first, then growing, a low human whisper repeating the same message: "Leave this place." Crew members screamed as the hangar systems failed. Zirin slammed the emergency lock controls, sealing the bay. Contain it! Shut down power to the hangar. But the voice didn't stop. It came through every speaker on the ship, every personal communicator, even the internal thoughts of those aboard. It wasn't just being heard, it was inside their minds. Karin clutched her head. "Commander," it's in the neural systems. "The message is rewriting us." Zirin stared at her. "Rewriting?" "Yes," she gasped. "Our implants, our AI links, they're changing. The message is copying itself into us." Rakshin's voice roared through command channel, full of fury. "Destroy those ships. Immediately." Zirin hesitated. "If we fire now, the explosion could damage the entire fleet." "Do it!" Rakshin screamed. The commander nodded grimly. "All cannons, target the derelicts." The main carrier's weapons charged, and within seconds, beams of plasma lit the darkness. The destroyed ships exploded into white light, scattering fragments across the void. The whispering stopped. For a moment, everyone breathed again. Then Karin looked at her screen and froze. "Commander, it didn't work." "What do you mean?" Zirin asked. "The explosion wasn't real," she said softly. "Our sensors show those ships are still there. But our eyes see them gone." Every officer turned toward the window. The space where the derelicts had been was empty, but on the sensors, they were still present, overlapping reality itself, existing and not existing at once. Zirin's throat went dry. "They're echoes." Karin nodded. "Echoes of the fleet. They exist as data, not matter. The message transformed them." Rakshin's voice grew weaker. "Retreat. Fall back to the outer system. We must rethink this." The remaining fleet began to pull away from Earth, engines burning bright. But as they turned, the stars themselves shifted. A faint light spread from Earth's surface again, not bright, not violent, but slow, pulsing like a heartbeat. Karin whispered, "Commander, that light matches the same energy pattern as the message." Zirin looked down at the glowing planet. "You think they're sending another one?" She nodded slowly. "No, I think it's already begun." Far behind them, the fragments of the lost fleet drifted silently. And for a brief moment, before disappearing completely into the void, one of them transmitted a single image, a human face, pale and calm, staring directly into the alien cameras. Then it spoke. "You were warned." The transmission cut off. The fleet fled toward Mars orbit, hearts pounding, minds shaken. And as the silence returned, Zirin finally understood. This wasn't just about Earth. Something was protecting humanity. Something powerful enough to make even time and reality obey. The alien fleet drifted near Mars orbit, their ships silent and damaged. Every officer avoided speaking of what had happened near Earth. The whispers, the message, the impossible sight of the lost fleet, all of it had shaken their beliefs. Commander Zirin stood on the bridge, staring at the dark screen showing Earth in the distance. He could still feel that voice inside his mind. It wasn't like any signal. It felt alive. Karin approached quietly. "Commander, the crew is frightened. Some believe we angered something ancient." Zirin didn't answer. He kept watching the blue planet far away. "Karin, what if they're right?" Before she could reply, A faint signal broke through the static. The ship's AI identified it as a human transmission, but it wasn't coming from Earth. It was coming from space itself. "Play it," Zirin ordered. A soft tone filled the bridge. Then a voice spoke, calm, emotionless, and unmistakably human. "We are the Watchers. Stand down and leave the Sol system." Everyone froze. The voice continued. "Your presence has been registered. Your aggression recorded. The consequence will unfold." Then silence. Karin's hands trembled. The Watchers! That name appears in ancient human radio archives. Signals from centuries ago, before they even had faster-than-light travel. Zirin frowned. "Are you saying this was recorded long ago?" "No," she whispered. "This message is live. It's broadcasting from multiple locations. The moon, Mars, even the asteroid belt. It's as if the whole system is speaking." Zirin turned to the navigation officer. "Locate the source." "Impossible, sir," the officer replied. "Each signal originates from different coordinates, changing every second. It's like chasing shadows." Suddenly, the ship's main lights flickered, and external sensors showed movement. Dozens of glowing objects appearing around Mars. Karin gasped. "Unknown vessels. They're surrounding us." The objects weren't ships, not in the way the aliens understood them. They looked like fragments of light, shifting between forms, some large as mountains, others small as dust. Their shapes changed constantly, part machine, part illusion. Zirin gripped the railing. "Weapons online. Prepare for evasive maneuvers." But before the order could be executed, every control screen turned white. The crew screamed as a wave of energy rippled through the ship. It wasn't an attack. It was a scan. Karin shouted, "They're reading everything. Our systems, our memories, our history." The ship's AI began to glitch, repeating the same phrase. "You have violated protected territory. Cease and retreat." Zirin shouted, "Communications! Send a signal to Emperor Rakshan. Tell him we are under." The connection cut off. Then the voice returned, deeper now, echoing through every ship of the fleet. "You sought to invade. You sought to conquer. Yet you do not understand what you challenged." A blinding light filled the bridge. Zirin shielded his eyes as a humanoid shape appeared in front of him. Tall, made of energy, without a face. The air vibrated with its presence. Karin fell to her knees. "Who are you?" The figure tilted its head slightly. "We are not who. We are what remains of those who came before. Humanity's guardians, the Watchers." Zirin stepped forward, trembling. "Guardians? Humanity? They are primitive. They didn't even build the defenses that destroyed us." The figure's voice was calm. "Primitive? They survived what you cannot imagine. Their strength lies not in weapons, but in what they leave behind." The figure moved closer. Zirin felt the deck hum beneath his feet. "They have been watched for centuries. When they are threatened, we awaken." Karin looked up slowly. "Are you human?" For a moment, the light flickered, and within it appeared countless faces. Human faces, old and young, male and female, merging into one. "We are the memory of humanity's dead. Soldiers, explorers, thinkers, all who died in space. Their essence became us. We are the Watchers." The crew stared in disbelief. Every screen showed the same symbol, an ancient Earth insignia, faded and old, the flag of the United Nations Space Command. Karin whispered, "This is impossible. That organization vanished thousands of years ago." The figure spoke again. "Nothing that is remembered ever vanishes. You awaken us when you try to end them." Then, one by one, the glowing shapes outside began to move. They didn't fire. They simply passed through the alien ships like ghosts, and wherever they touched, the metal turned to dust. Zirin shouted, "Shields? Fire everything." The weapons activated, but every shot bent away, dissolving before impact. The alien fleet was helpless. Karin grabbed Zirin's arm. "We can't fight this. We have to flee." The figure's light dimmed slightly, and its final words echoed through the bridge. "Leave now. Tell your kind. The Sol system is under protection. The next intrusion will not be forgiven." Then the light vanished. Silence filled the ship. The crew stood frozen, shaking. Outside, Mars glowed faintly red, and around it, the glowing shapes faded into the stars, disappearing completely. Karin whispered, "They're gone." Zirin looked at the empty space where they had been. "No," he said quietly. "They're watching." He turned toward the navigation officer. "Plot a course out of the system. We'll regroup and report to the Emperor, but keep the sensors on Earth." As the fleet slowly began to leave, a final signal appeared on every screen. Just 2 words in an ancient human dialect. "We remember." And with that, the Watchers went silent again, waiting in the dark. The Imperial Palace on Draven Prime stood beneath a black sky, filled with red lightning. Inside, Emperor Rakshan waited in silence as the alien fleet's transmission played on the massive holoscreen before him. The voice of Commander Zirin echoed through static. "Your Majesty, the fleet was attacked by something we cannot define. They call themselves the Watchers. They spoke in a human voice. They destroyed half our ships without weapons. We are retreating." Then the message cut out. The Emperor's claws dug into his throne's armrests. The sound of metal cracking filled the hall. "The Watchers," he repeated slowly. "That name again." Around him, his council of warlords stood in fear. None dared to speak. Only General Tar, his most trusted commander, stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we have lost more than ships. We have lost morale. The fleets refused to approach the Sol system again." Rakshan turned his glowing red eyes toward him. "Do you think I care about their fear? I want answers. Who are these Watchers?" A scholar bowed deeply. "Sire, we searched the ancient archives. The humans spoke of them in their early transmissions, centuries before they achieved space travel. The term Watcher was used for unseen guardians who observed the stars, but it was believed to be myth." Rakshan rose slowly, his long robe dragging across the floor. "Myth!" His voice thundered. "They turned my fleet into dust. That is no myth." Lightning flashed across the ceiling as he stepped closer to the holographic display of Earth. These humans, they were supposed to be weak, yet everything we send against them disappears. Tar hesitated. Perhaps they are being protected by an ancient weapon left behind by their ancestors. Rakshan stared at him for a long time, then spoke softly. "Then find that weapon. I want to know what kind of power can make my empire tremble." The war room filled with movement as officers hurried to obey. But deep down, none of them believed it was a weapon. Something about that voice, calm, ancient human, had unsettled even the bravest among them. Later, when the hall was empty, Rakshan walked alone through the palace corridors. His footsteps echoed against the black marble. He entered the Chamber of Echoes, a secret room filled with relics from conquered worlds. He stopped before a single broken sphere, a human satellite, old and rusted. His scientists had found it drifting near the edge of the Sol system. Strange markings covered its surface. Human words faded by time. "Property of NASA." The Emperor stared at it. "So small," he whispered, "and yet they frighten us." Suddenly, the satellite flickered. The Emperor froze. A faint light glowed from within, projecting a hologram, not alien but human. A man's face appeared. He looked tired but strong, wearing an old Earth uniform. His voice was steady. "If you're hearing this, then you've entered forbidden space. Leave now. Humanity has suffered enough. The Watchers will wake." The light vanished as quickly as it appeared. The Emperor stepped back, his heart's pounding. This is impossible. He called for his scientists. Within minutes, they arrived and scanned the device. One of them gasped, "Sire, this message is over 4,000 years old. It's been repeating on a hidden frequency." Rakshan's face darkened. "A warning from the dead," he muttered. That night, the Emperor couldn't rest. The words kept echoing in his mind. The Watchers will wake. He sat by the massive window, looking out over his empire's capital city. Lights stretching to horizon, millions of ships ready for war. Yet, for the first time in his reign, he felt something new: fear. He summoned General Tar once more. "Tell me, General, if the humans have something that ancient, something that powerful, could it spread beyond their system?" Tar hesitated. "If the Watchers are what they seem, sire, then they might already be watching us. Before Raction could reply, the lights flickered. The palace trembled slightly. Guards rushed into the chamber. "Your Majesty," one shouted. "An unknown signal. It's overriding every communication system." The holoscreens came alive with static. Then, slowly, words began to appear in the ancient human language. "You were warned." Everyone froze. Tar turned pale. "They're contacting us, sire, from light years away." The Emperor clenched his fists. "Show them I am not afraid. Open a channel." The screen went black for a moment. Then a familiar glowing figure appeared, the same being that had faced Commander Zirin. Its voice echoed through the chamber. "You threaten the children of Earth again. You defy the message." Raction stood tall, tried to mask his trembling. "Who are you to command the Emperor of the Draven Empire?" The figure's light grew brighter. "We are what your kind will become, if you survive long enough to learn." The room grew cold. Every torch, every light flickered. The figure's final words struck deep into every heart present. "We were born from humanity's pain. We remember their wars, their deaths, their courage. We exist to keep balance. Leave their world, or the stars will forget your name." Then it vanished. Silence filled the room. Tar whispered, "Sire, what should we do?" The Emperor turned toward the dark window again, staring into the endless night. For the first time, his voice was quiet, uncertain. "We wait," he said, "but not because we are afraid." He paused. "Because now I must know what we're dealing with." Outside, thunder rolled across the alien sky, as if the universe itself was warning him to listen. The storm over Draven Prime raged for days, yet inside the Imperial Palace, silence ruled. Emperor Raction had not left his chamber since the appearance of the glowing being, the so-called Watcher. His court whispered that he had gone mad, but none dared speak it aloud. He sat in darkness, staring at a single hologram, an image of Earth, taken from the last probe that dared approach. The blue planet looked calm, peaceful, too peaceful. "How can a world like that hold such power?" he muttered. "How can the ghosts of humans frighten the strongest empire in the galaxy?" General Tar entered quietly, kneeling before him. "Your Majesty, the scientists have finished decoding the human archives we captured long ago. There is something you should see." The Emperor motioned him to proceed. Tar placed a small crystal on the console. Instantly, the room filled with light, a projection of ancient human battles. Burning cities, mushroom clouds, oceans turned to fire. The humans had destroyed each other long before they ever reached the stars. The Emperor leaned forward. "They killed their own kind?" Tar nodded. "Yes, Majesty. They were the most violent race in recorded history. And yet, every time they fell, they rebuilt stronger. Their history is full of death, but also defiance." Raction's eyes glowed brighter. "Defiance," he repeated. "Even in ruin, they refused to die." The projection shifted, now showing first human ships breaking through orbit, the first colonists reaching Mars, the first lost soldiers drifting into the void. Then came the final clip, a transmission marked classified. A human voice spoke, low and weary. "If this reaches anyone, know that we failed to save our world. But we won't disappear. Our minds, our memories, our souls, they're bound to the stars now. And when someone tries to destroy what remains of Earth, we will rise again." The recording ended. The Emperor sat frozen. The room was silent, except for the distant rumble of thunder. He whispered, "So that's what they meant. The Watchers are their dead." Tar's voice trembled. "If that is true, then every human who ever died in space might still be there." The Emperor stood slowly, his shadow stretching across the room. "Ghosts of Earth's past. Protectors of the living. How could we fight something that isn't alive?" Suddenly, alarms blared across the palace. The room shook. Guards ran in, shouting, "Incoming transmission from deep space. Unknown frequency." The Emperor and Tar rushed to the command hall. The holoscreen flickered, then displayed a map of the galaxy. Dozens of red lights blinked. Draven colonies and outposts going dark, one by one. "What's happening?" Raction demanded. "Unclear, sire," an officer cried. No sign of attacks, just silence. All systems failing. Our fleets report shadows moving in the void, unregistered ships that vanish before sensors lock on. Tar's eyes widened. It's them. The Watchers. The Emperor's claws tightened. How could they reach this far? They shouldn't even exist outside the Sol system. Another officer shouted, "Sire, one of our listening posts intercepted a signal before it went dark." "Play it," Rakshan ordered. Static filled the air. Then came a faint whisper, human and haunting. "You were warned. The fallen remember." The hall fell silent. Every soldier, every scientist, felt the chill of those words. Rakshan slammed his fist against the console. Enough of this fear. There are only echoes, tricks of energy and data. He turned toward Tar. "Assemble the fleet. I will lead it myself. If these ghosts wish for war, I will give them one." Tar hesitated. "Majesty, with respect, you cannot fight what you cannot touch. We have already lost ships to nothing but light." Rakshan's voice dropped, cold and heavy. "Then we will burn their world, until not even ghosts can rise again." Within hours, the great armadas of the Draven Empire began to move. Thousands of ships left their homeworld, their engines lighting up the black sky like fire. The invasion was reborn, not of greed this time, but of fear. Meanwhile, light years away, deep in the quiet of space, something stirred near Earth's orbit. The old satellites began to blink one after another, activating after centuries of silence. On the moon's far side, beneath the dust and ruins of an ancient human base, massive doors opened slowly, releasing a pulse of light into the dark. The Watchers were waking. Karin, aboard the surviving scout ship near Neptune, saw the sensors flare with impossible readings. She turned pale. "No, not again," her ship's AI whispered. Multiple unidentified presences detected. Origin, lunar surface. Energy signatures, human. Karin stared out the viewport as countless shapes rose in the shadows. Luminous figures that looked half real, half dream. She recognized one of them, the same energy being who had warned them before. It turned toward her ship, its glowing eyes piercing through space. The Empire did not listen. Karin whispered, trembling, "Then what will you do?" The voice filled her mind like thunder. "We will remind them why the galaxy once feared humans." At that moment, across the galaxy, every Draven ship's sensors picked up the same signal, a single heartbeat, echoing from Earth. Then a message followed, spoken in 1,000 voices, all human. "You came for war. You will meet what created it." In the Emperor's flagship, the words played through every deck. Soldiers looked to one another in terror. Tar turned to Rakshan. "Majesty, I think they've already begun." The Emperor's face hardened. "Then let the ghosts come." But deep down, beneath all his fury, Rakshan finally understood the truth. The humans hadn't vanished. They had simply become something far worse than death itself. The stars above burned white as the Draven fleet crossed into the Sol system once again. But this time, they came prepared for war. Thousands of warships surrounded the Emperor's massive flagship, the Eternal Dominion, forming a black wall of metal and fire. Emperor Rakshan stood on the bridge, his armor gleaming under the pale light of the control screens. "This time," he said coldly, "we erase Earth from existence." General Tar stood beside him, silent, uneasy. The soldiers around them whispered prayers, their claws gripping weapons that they weren't sure would matter. Ahead, Earth floated in the distance, calm, blue, and peaceful, as if mocking their rage. "Begin the bombardment sequence," Rakshan ordered. "Target locked," the weapons officer replied. "All ships ready to fire on your command." The Emperor raised his hand. "Fire." The void lit up as thousands of plasma beams and missiles shot forward, streaking through the darkness like fiery comets. They tore across space, heading straight for the planet that had defied them. And then they stopped. Every weapon froze mid-flight, suspended in the void as if time itself had been caught in a fist. The bridge lights flickered. The crew gasped in disbelief. What is this?" Tar shouted, weapons unresponsive. Rakshan's eyes widened. "No, not again." A low hum filled the air. The ship trembled as a wave of light rippled through the fleet. The frozen missiles turned slowly, not toward Earth, but back toward the Draven fleet. "Reverse energy detected," someone screamed. "They've taken control of our weapons." The next second was chaos. The sky exploded as the missiles slammed into the Draven ships. Fire spread across the void, one ship after another bursting apart like dying stars. Raction gripped the console. "Shields!" All ships raised shields, but the commands never reached them. Every communication line was filled with a single repeating phrase, echoing in an old human voice. "You were warned." The bridge lights dimmed until only the Emperor's face glowed red in the darkness. Tar turned toward him, terror in his eyes. "Majesty, we can't win this." Before Raction could answer, the space before them rippled. Light gathered into shapes, dozens, then hundreds, until the sky was filled with glowing, human-like forms. They weren't made of flesh or metal. They were energy, memory, and will. The Watchers had arrived. Their leader appeared directly before the flagship, a tall figure burning with pale blue light. His voice carried through every ship, every mind. "We offered mercy. You answer with arrogance. Now you will face memory." The fleet's remaining weapons fired in panic. Energy cannons, plasma storms, railguns, all unleashed at once. But the beams passed through the Watchers like smoke. The Ghost didn't fight back. They remembered. Each Watcher released visions into the minds of the Draven soldiers. They saw Earth's wars, humanity's endless pain, the burning cities, the screams, the defiance. They saw a human soldier standing in nuclear fire and refusing to kneel. The Emperor fell to his knees, clutching his head. The visions tore through his mind like blades. "No!" he shouted. "Get out of my thoughts." The Watcher's voice filled his skull. "You wanted to know what we are, Emperor? We are what your kind can never kill, the will of those who refuse to die." Outside, the Draven fleet began to fall apart. Ships collided, exploding as the Watchers drifted through them like ghosts through fog. Karin, still observing from her hidden scout ship, watched in horror. "They're destroying everything without even firing a weapon." Her AI responded softly, almost with sadness. "They are not destroying. They are erasing." The Emperor struggled to his feet, glaring at the spectral being outside the viewport. "Why protect them?" he roared. "They are gone. Humanity is extinct." The Watcher drifted closer, its face forming from shifting light. A mix of thousands of human faces merged together. "You are wrong." The Watcher raised its hand, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble. Across every surviving Draven screen appeared live images from Earth. Cities glowing, people walking, children laughing. Humanity was alive, thriving. Raction stared, speechless. "They survive after all this time." The Watcher's voice was soft now. "They endured everything. And now they have us. Their memory, their shield." Tar fell to his knees. "We attacked the living and the dead." One by one, the Draven ships began to shut down, engines fading, lights dimming. The Watchers drifted through the wreckage, touching each vessel gently, as if sending it to sleep. Within minutes, the mighty fleet that crossed galaxies lay silent, cold, floating ruins beneath the shadow of Earth. The Emperor's flagship was the last to fall. The Watcher appeared before him one final time. "You were warned. Your empire ends here." Raction's voice cracked. "Kill me, then. Finish it." The Watcher's light dimmed slightly, almost like pity. "Death would be mercy. You will live, to remember what you unleashed." A burst of white light filled the bridge, and when it faded, the Emperor found himself alone. The ship was drifting, powerless, empty. His crew was gone. Only silence remained. Through the viewport, Earth shone brighter than ever. Raction sank to the floor, whispering, What have we done?" And somewhere in the void, the Watcher's voice echoed one last time. "You came for conquest. You left with fear. Remember that, Emperor, because we always will." The lights of the fleet faded into darkness. The Draven Empire had fallen, not to weapons, but to the ghosts of humanity.